All right, everyone. My name is David Caponigri. I'm a math teacher at Eastridge High School. Mark McLemoyle has asked me to make a little video explaining this spreadsheet. It's right now I have it called Grades Retake Proficiency Level Threshold, just so I can search it to find it. Okay, I'm not here to try to wordsmith like the word level. I don't really like very much, but I don't know a better word, and I haven't thought of or had time to think of better words to use. Anyway. So here's what it is. Column A, that's what kids get on tests, papers, projects, whatever other summatives that they would do. Okay, their average summative test score that's what this column is. Okay, as you know, we're an 80-20, you know, um, school district, right? So the summative multiplier is 80%, formative multiplier is 20%. And of course, this column is the score of their formative work, like all of their formative work on average, like in a cumulative fashion. Okay. And the total grade is, well, the total grade. This column over here on the right, column E, is exactly what Schoology would calculate. Okay. Um, in case you're wondering, well, what if a kid doesn't get 100% on their summatives? So I know I got all the way down to 59 just because we can extend this all the way to 0 if we wanted to. And well, what if a kid doesn't get 100% on their formatives? Okay, well, we can change this one cell right here, and it changes all the cells below it. Okay, to 80% or 53 or whatever percentage you want. Okay, for the sake of this discussion, we'll deal with 100%. But let's say a kid gets 100% on all of their tests, all their summatives, but they only get 53% on their formatives. Their total grade's 91%. Right? That makes perfect and complete sense. That's exactly what Schoology would calculate. So that all column E is doing is exactly what Schoology would calculate. Okay. For the sake of this discussion, I'm going to leave the formative at 100%. Okay. I'll have an example right here. Let's say a kid gets an 89% on all of his or her summatives, like an average. Sometimes they get above, sometimes they get below, but they average 89% on their summatives. Okay. Well, what that means is that if they get 100% on their formative, then they get an A minus, right? They get a 91%. That's all that this thing is putting together. Okay. I should probably talk about the actual calculation. All this is calculating. It says D13 times C13 right there, right? You see that? That's just this cell times this cell. It's the 20% formative multiplier times their grade in the formative plus, as you can see right there, B13 times A13. That is the summative multiplier of 80% times their summative scores, all averaged together. I shouldn't say average because if tests are different sizes, different amount of points, never mind, doesn't matter. That's their average on all of their summatives combined in a cumulative points type way, which is what Schoology does. Okay, so now that we've established what this is showing us, here's my thought in making it. Like, why would I make this? Well, obviously, it's fun. Okay, I was a data analyst for 3 years, and I'm a nerd that likes spreadsheets, so that's part of it. The other part of it is because this can show us, and we can like information that we couldn't otherwise just guess at, okay, or pontificate about. Let's say a kid got an 84% on all their summatives, right? All their tests, projects, whatever the summatives are in a trimester, 84%. And their formative work was 100%. Their grade is going to be an 87. Okay. Why would I make this? Why does that matter? Why am I highlighting that line and not other lines? My thought is that if we're going to pick a proficiency level, I don't know if I like the word level or even threshold. I think right now I like something about the idea of a student has met proficiency if they reach this percentage. So if that percentage is 84, and we say, okay, the proficiency level, threshold, whatever we want to say, is 84. That means anyone who got an 84 above, they can't retake the test. Okay. If we want to change it to 85, then we're going to have that discussion too. That's fine, but I'm just explaining to you what this means. So if a kid got an 83% on a test, right, or all of their tests on average, then they could end up getting an 86%. And in case you're thinking, well, what if they only have 80%? Right, yes. Okay. then obviously their grade would be a little bit lower, right? So 100%. Okay. Obviously, I've got a thing here at 80. Okay. So if a student, so not only is this if they got this grade on their tests, let's say a student failed every single test or got a D or a 65%, like imagine whatever you want, but I'm just going to use the word failed for right now. A kid failed every single test, but then they retook every single test and they got an 80% on all of these tests. What grade would they end up with? Well, they'd have an 84%, which is a B, which is probably pretty good. So what we're talking about here is what grades like on a summative would correlate then to total grade for a student. Okay. So we're talking about, in this example that I just gave, a kid who failed every test can end up with a B. That seems pretty good. If we wanted it to be a 75%, okay, then a kid fails every test, retakes every test or project or paper or whatever it is, and then they get a 75. Like if that was our threshold, okay, or our proficiency level, every kid above at or above this level, that kind of a thing, then they would get an 80%, a B minus. So a kid fails every test, but can still get a B minus. Okay. And then, we can highlight other things if we want. If we put it at 71, a kid can still get a 77, which is a C plus, right? So I just have picked out a few, not that I think one of those is the best thing to do. On May 20th, we should be discussing this a lot. It's one of the main topics I think we're going to discuss. But I just want to show you what this was about and what it can be used for. I hope it was informative, and I hope I was clear. Have a great day.